Thank you. Good afternoon, audience. Just before I start, maybe it's nice to understand what the audience are from. Just a show of hands from the brand owners. Anyone from the brand owner field here, from the FMCG, from the pharmaceutical, please? Yeah. Thank you. And anyone from the converter community here, from the Flexo, Gravure, Offset side of it? Thank you. Thank you. So I've just made a presentation accordingly, so I just wanted to understand. That's nice. I'm presenting on behalf of HP and our channel partners, Potedar as well as Technova. So everything we do as a converter community, we do it for the brand brand owners. And actually, how the brand owner works is according to their consumer needs. So this is something very interesting that changing consumer habits is actually making the brands change. We'll jump into a topic of startups. With the limited time, I want to focus on this area. If we see how our buying habits have changed, let's go back into somewhere around 1980s. We had mom and pop shop where we could go and ask for a product, and chances are there that there was only one brand of that product. We have all gone through that. Fast forward to 2015, we had many brands coming into India. Yeah, in 1990s coming into India. In 2015, we had the start of so-called startups in our country. From there, we are seeing these startups popping up. Somewhere around 2020 and 22, there was a lot of e-commerce that kept happening, especially due to COVID. A lot of us didn't had an option to go out and buy things, so many of the things were bought online. Now, when we combine the e-commerce as well as the startup culture, it created a new segment itself called as direct-to-consumer, D2C, what we call it today. So 2023-24 is full of D2Cs, a lot of them now becoming unicorn and getting acquired by many brands. So this is a general trend of the consumer industry that we see. And what is driving these trends? So if you try to break it up, then sustainability is one of the big trends, and it's not just a trend now, it's a necessity in the packaging side as well as the brand side of the business. We have these startups or the small CPGs now eroding or eating into the market segments of the bigger giants. This is primarily because the new generation is quite open to trying out new products. Many of our generations, we would stick to one product, whether it is the toothpaste or consumer products and all. But today, the teenagers are very easy in experimenting things, and that's really driving the small CPGs and eating the share of the bigger CPGs. And again, the e-commerce, when we really look into it, as I explained, this is one thing that is actually facilitating the speed in which the D2C is growing. Today, anyone starting a brand really doesn't need a lot of things to have a stock and have the supply chain or the logistic taken care first, and then really launch a product. Today, they can launch a product online without really having a single distributor and can ship the product direct to the consumer because of the e-commerce thing. And then we have the generation that is very important. Today, India's 65% of the population is under the age group of 35 years. So, this group is going to become the main force of the buyers in the CPG industry today in next few years. So if you combine all of this, certainly these are the trends which are really changing the brand owner segments. For converters, looking at all the trend, we have one statement that if you are not printing some of the brands that your teenager at home is using, then probably you need to rethink on the long-term business strategy that you are having today. So it's very simple. If your teenagers are using as a consumer product and your really not focusing on them and you're focusing on the old things that you have been doing, then probably in next few years, those big product may not be so big. So you need to think about it. Some of the, these are examples of some of the D2C and the small brands that HP supported in launching. Buds and Berry is a brand from Kevin Care. Kevin Care is a very large company. They actually do not, they didn't have to innovate in terms of D2C and all, but they really understood where the market is growing. And based on that, they launched this product in a D2C way. So it was first available only on their website and Amazon, but now the product itself or the brand itself has grown so much that it's now available on the normal retail shops also. One of the other product that HP supported is in the beverage segment. So it's just a story, we supported thousands of such products, but something interesting to highlight about it. Kazulo is an Goan brand which actually kind of started from Goa, and without talking much, I'll get into the video. It tells you a lot.
I want to take Feni to the world. I think in 2010-11, when I first was thinking about a label and coming out with it, the last thing I wanted is the product to come out of Goa and a Feni to come out and look like a third world product. When you start out as a brand, nobody wants to give a chance to the small guy. At that time, nobody came out with textures. You couldn't ask for what you wanted. They said, this is what we have, you accept that or don't accept that. And then these guys would take 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. You were just sitting there by your phone waiting for it to come.
So when Hansel first came to us, he explained to me that he was having a lot of problem with his earlier supply of labels where the labels were peeling off the bottle, it was not sticking very well, the adhesive was not very good. He also told me that his bottle had a particular shape and a different size, that had to fit very well and snug. See, that's where the HP Indigo digital press comes into play with its versatility of letting you print seamlessly on these substrates. So when Hansel said that this is what he wanted, okay, it had to be crisp, sharp, bright colors. We knew this was the press that we had to use to achieve the job.
If you look at my sales before the labels and after the labels, you suddenly saw confidence because now the labels weren't peeling out, now the texture was there was a vibrancy that I wanted, and most important, it was consistent. So when people picked up this bottle, it was no longer just a souvenir, it was also a respectable product. The HP printing solutions really helped us in a big way. There is a lot I'm gearing up for, and I'm sure with Janus supporting my startup and the versatility of the HP Indigo digital press, I can focus on what I do best, distillation. I can't wait to create new brands full of culture and meaning.
So talking about the trends in startups, we kind of identify trends well in advance. One of the trends we identified was millet. A few years back, a lot of millet startups coming up, and our customers were actually flooded with these millet packagings and all. So we started working onto it. This is a summary of the whole trend. It all started with ready-made pouches, and then a label printed on top of it. Slowly, the millet brand were growing, and then it was converted into a properly a nice-looking pouch, 360-degree. But this was not all. So these were just the grains, millet grains that just started a few years back. But today, if you see, the ecosystem has grown to many byproducts. Things like there are millet-based cookies, millet-based granulas, millet-based snacks, and even some of the drinks which are millet-based. Now, if you see, there is something related to packaging also. While these are different byproduct, but these have to be also packed in different types of packaging. Typically, it would not be possible to be done on a single technology, but our converters were able to kind of capitalize on this entire trend. So if a brand from a millet was trying to diversify into different product line, our converters were able to kind of support, our technology was able to support. So this is something, which would be interesting for the converter sides. And similarly, there are other trends that one can also understand in this startup, right from whey proteins to tea, and nowadays no-low beverages and nutraceuticals. So these are some of the trends which kind of is also driving the whole startup ecosystem. Sustainability, of course, this is something a very big, not just a buzzword, but the reality that we all are facing. So again, one of the example that we have been working with many brands, and one of them is Diageo, when they wanted to come up with a very premium kind of a product which had only few thousand as a quantity. The choice was very simple. It was kind of a digital HP Indigo. But in that whole process, they understand the whole technology was very sustainable. There are no plates, no cylinders, nothing is used. So when they wanted to launch actually a product which was more related to a sustainability, then they actually opted for Indigo, even though the quantities were much higher, which should have gone to a conventional side, but they wanted to respect the environment because the entire product and the packaging had to be more sustainable, which could have a lower carbon footprint than the others. So this is where they continued using HP Indigo, and they proudly kind of also displayed it. Coming to the flexible side of the business, we did a life cycle assessment of some of the flexible packaging, if printed on Indigo versus the conventional technology, to understand what was the environmental impact by using these three different technologies. So we did from cradle to gate, LCA, for a job size of a coffee pouch, which was roughly 5,000, 7,000 odd pouches, which is generally typically a case of a startup. Here you can clearly see the impact on the environment is much less when it was printed on the Indigo technology, the digital one, because there are again no cylinders, no plates, but the inks also do not contain any UV monomers or solvents, which could again impact the environment. So in case of water depletion and the energy consumption also, this is much better than the conventional one. We have also participated in the recycling and the compostability part, and partnered with various manufacturers in the industry. Our inks do not hinder in the recyclable and the compostability part, and there have been many commercially done product which are now available in the market, which are completely compostable as well as recyclable, printed on the Indigo side. There is one video I would like to show to explain how digital printing helps in the shorter SKUs and the multiple SKUs. This is a fast forward video of few products that were done. So in 18 hours, 63 SKUs, 63 artworks were printed, of course, in a short quantity. So this tells you, how efficient a digital system can be and how much, you can save. So the wastage would be very, very minimal. About the brand protection part, I saw, the panel discussing about it, and it was very interesting to understand how different technologies are collaborating together. We have collaborated with UPM in one case and developed a vaccine label for some of the manufacturers, which had a very stringent requirement of having the bottle placed in a freezing temperature of -80 degrees Celsius, and also need to have a different brand protection or the authentication features. So we had created this with help of variable data, variable microtext. So microtext can be printed by the other technologies also, but in our case, we could have a variable one. Then there is variable gouache patterns, QR code, and other stuff. We could also use our different inks from the portfolio, like the invisible inks, but again, the invisible inks can be printed into variable format. Metallic inks we had, which again were printed in a variable format. So different layers of the brand protection was created, very difficult to kind of break into it. Again, a small video to tell you how our customers are using it.
American Label is a solution-based company. We weigh heavily on the importance of security here. The problem with counterfeiting is not just a loss of revenue, it creates a black mark on their reputation. So we're dealing now with customers that have a big problem.
Security printing is my #1 focus. I had been looking into security printing for about 10 years. About the time I came to American Label, HP had unveiled invisible ink. It was time for me to do some R&D. We were figuring out visible and invisible watermarks, serialized numbering, microtext, micro QR codes, gouache, matching QR code combination. The technology's mind-blowing.
Implementing the security features is extremely easy on our end. For us, it's really just adding another color.
Customers would say, wait a second, I can use security features now on a higher speed digital option? They even get more excited when they find out it's not a huge cost increase.
Their art firm just designs it into the label and they can literally, the next time they order, have it implemented. It's amazing how much business you get when you have that.
It just opened up the floodgates. So we eventually went to 2 presses that had invisible ink, and then 3. And at that point, we were able to install HP Invisible Ink on the 8000. That was the game changer.
5 years ago, Indigo labels represented 5% of our business. Now it represents 50% of our business. It wasn't through moving to digital. And that's all through growth. It was just a matter of being able to say yes to our customers.
So that's about brand protection. We have some very interesting samples here on our table. If someone is interested, please come by. These are some of the jobs that have been done on our technology, all different applications, but on one technology. Our motto for our customers have always been, say to yes job, say to every job, say yes to every job, sorry. So that's it from my side. Thank you audience for your time and patience for hearing me out. Thank you.